Hello, Sebastian. Hey, Sebastian. Sebastian, your microphone is muted.
Hey, hello.
Okay. All right. Now your microphone is open. Perfect. How are you?
I'm fine, Dr. Priscilla.
Okay. I saw that you had arrived earlier, and the way that I set this meeting up, you don't have to go to the waiting room. That was not my intent, but you have to go to the waiting room and then wait for me to let you enter into the class, which is really crazy. But anyway, so welcome to class. Now,
Thank you.
you were telling me about an application. What is it that you're telling me about? One something.
Okay, no, the idea is just to share to share the same document using OneDrive, and you can add, add grade, or you can write directly in the file.
So where is OneDrive? I know about
Eh,
the shared files. Okay, let me see if you can share your file. Hey, Joy, welcome to class. I saw your
Hello.
message. And just so
Yes.
you'll know,
Thank
Joy,
you.
tomorrow, you need to register for tomorrow's classes as well if you want to attend. It's the same,
Okay.
I think it's the same link, but I'm not sure. But you can always go to the Facebook group and you'll find the link. Okay, Sebastian, are you trying to share your screen or no?
Pero es que estoy como tú. Hi, Priscilla, can you hear me?
Hey, how are you? And
Fine, thank you.
what's your name?
My name is Cecilia.
Cecilia. That's a pretty name,
Yeah.
Cecilia. Oh, look at Sebastian. You're so creative. Okay, so Sebastian and Cecilia, are you husband and wife?
Yeah, you're right.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Cecilia.
Nice to meet you
Sebastian,
too.
Sebastian is a great student. He's a very good student.
Yeah, I know
I
that, and he had been telling me a lot about you and your classes, so I'm very excited to join.
Okay, super, super, super. So now, Sebastian, since we have more than just you and I'll let you tell me about that one something at a later date. Okay? Okay. All right. So every day for this week, for the past 4 days, I've had what we call Power Jam sessions. Just this is a shameless plug. A shameless plug is to say that everybody is selling something. So what I'm selling is the opportunity for students, potential students, to get to know me and my methodology for teaching. And if it works for them, they would consider me as a coach. If not, they get the benefit of having a free lesson or free lessons that might help them with the next tutor that they choose. All right. So that's where we are right now. If you are a member of Speak Excellent English, you'll get opportunities to participate in many things or see videos about many things that you can just do whenever it's convenient for you. So today, Sebastian, I'm going to continue with your lesson and talk about how to make that 2-minute session sound more appropriate. You've got the idea, you have the theme being your neighbor. You're going to tell me who your neighbor is, what you like about your neighbor, and various things, but I will post that so that you can look at it. I'm going to put it up on the screen. File, open. I think it's Friends. Was it Friends, Sebastian? Do you know? Yes, it's your neighbor. This was about your neighbor. So, Sebastian, tell us, what are the key things that I mentioned that you should do when you're responding to a question?
Okay,
PAT.
the PAT, correct.
Mhm.
PAT, we have 1 minute to choose to pick up some phrasal verbs to looking for
And what is a phrasal verb?
academic phrasal verbs are verbs that are composed or formed for more than one word, sometimes 2 or 3 words at the same time. For example, hang out, hurry up, pick up, turn up, turn down, um, take off, and all of these are phrasal verbs, and it's very important to pick several or as many phrasal verbs as we can.
Mhm.
Okay, the second one is the academic words. That it means we need to use words with more than 3 syllables. For example, phenomenal, considerable, agreeable, and something like that. And the last one is the letter T, that is for transitional words. And with transitional words, we have nevertheless, despite, even though, however, another one in this moment, maybe in contracts too, in summary, finally. We
Okay.
have some of these transitional words.
And those are good. So, Joy, this is going to be of interest to you, primarily because you are planning to also take the IELTS exam or study for the IELTS exam in I forget what the program, I asked you what was that program, but it's something that you attend prior to taking the IELTS exam. So what I know is there are tricks, hacks, and techniques. If you learn the PAT, this will give you an additional point for the exam. I don't know anyone that has taken the exam and made less than a 5. It is quite possible, but I don't know anyone that has made less than a 5. So if you go in just minimally prepared, you just go in and you sit down, you will probably end up with a 5. A 5 will not get you the score that you need. But if you learn this trick using PAT, you can get at least one more score, which would take you to a 6. A 6 still may not be what you need. You may actually need a 6.5 or 7, depending upon where you're trying to go, college requirement, or come overseas. You may need a 7 or 8. I know that if you're in the medical field, you probably need something like a 7.5. Most people can pass with a 6.5 if their scores in the reading, writing, and listening are high. So you look for that overall score. But you do need to have at least a 6 and possibly a minimum of 6.5. So this is just a technique, Joy. Do you understand, Joy?
Yes, I
Okay.
understand.
So Sebastian just gave us some examples. Can you tell me some examples of phrasal verbs, Joy? You can use the ones that he said if you remember what he said. What is an example of a phrasal verb?
I am not familiar about the formal.
Okay, so a phrasal verb is usually two words together, such as stood up.
Stood up.
Stood up. Can you think of any others? Just two words that usually go together.
Wake up.
Very good. Wake up. Okay. Those are phrasal verbs. Any others?
Yeah. Wake up. No more. Sorry.
Okay. Cecilia, Sebastian gave us examples of academic words. What he didn't say, though, is that an academic word is any word that is 3 or more syllables. That's how you know that it is academic. And a syllable is like fantastic, fantastic. That's 3 or more syllables. Okay, can you think of any 3-syllable words?
Let's say tremendous.
Good, tremendous. Okay, one more.
Impressive.
Impressive, good. Now, Sebastian told us what transitional phrases are, and Joy, give me one transitional phrase, and Cecilia, give me one transitional word, if you remember. Transitional words are words that are connectors. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm telling you this, now I'm going to tell you something else. It's closely related, or it's the opposite. Okay, Sebastian, give us one. Just one.
Therefore.
Therefore. I wrecked my car, therefore I will have to take a cab to work. The transitional word is therefore. Joy, the transitional word?
Either.
Either. Good. Cecilia?
In addition.
In addition. Perfect. Okay, now, this is the prompt. This would be the prompt that you would be talking about for 2 minutes. We won't time ourselves today. We'll just get the idea of how this works. But you will have 1 minute to put your notes on paper. So my suggestion, Joy, is that you write down the word P-A-T in this manner, straight down. Don't write the word, don't write these letters, just write Pat. Just write it just like this, P-A-T. By the end of this class, hopefully you'll know what the P stands for, what the A stands for, and the T. I do want to say that although I'm saying that the academic words are 3 syllables, there are some 1-syllable words that are academic, but you may not know what they are. So if you use 3-syllable words, all of those are academic. All 3-syllable words are academic. Some are even 4 syllables. Enthusiastically is like 6. That's great if you can use it, but enthusiastic is sufficient. Any questions so far?
No more.
Okay, so Sebastian was working with this earlier, and I'm going to ask Sebastian to describe an interesting neighbor. So Sebastian, give me the words that you want to use, and I'm going to check to see if you use these words. What phrasal verbs do you wish to use?
Hang out.
Hang
out.
Hang out.
And turn down.
Turn down. Mm-hmm. And that's sufficient. That's sufficient.
Okay.
Okay, so Ellen is coming. I'm going to make a statement so that Ellen will make sure that she wants to appear. All of you know that I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. Ellen, thanks for joining us. I just want to remind you that I am recording the video, and it will be posted on Facebook and YouTube. So if you just want to listen, that's fine. Just type in the chat box that you just want to listen, but it will be recorded and your voice will be recorded as well. Your picture isn't showing, but your image is, okay? So I won't call on you unless you unmute your microphone. Great. All right, so I just want to put that out there because in some places, you know, whatever the norms are, certain things, unless it's a private group, and this is public. Okay, so now I'm going back to share my screen.
Yeah, Miss, no, I hear you.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. I just want you to know that if you want to speak, your voice will be recorded. So you might just want to listen. I'll leave it up to you. Now
Yeah,
I'm going
it's
back.
normal.
Okay, all right then. So I'm sharing my screen again. So we are looking at phrasal verbs. And now your academic word, Sebastian.
Okay, phenomenal,
Phenomenal,
agreeable,
agreeable,
um, appropriate,
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 appropriate. It's a softer 8, appropriate.
appropriate,
Not 8, appropriate.
appropriate,
Yes, appropriate. Okay?
appropriate.
And your transitional word,
Even though, even though, nevertheless, and finally,
and finally. Okay, that should be sufficient. All right. Now, although you've practiced this prompt before, we're going to do it again. This time we're looking at, I'm going to take these out. And each time I hear one of them, I'll make some type of indication that you've used it. This helps you to know that you will get the points that you need. This is what I call bonus points, Joy. Bonus points. If you use your phrasal verbs, you get bonus points for using those. So if you start out with a 5, you know that you'll probably end up with a 6, even if you say things incorrectly. But you have to practice. All right, so you're going to describe an interesting neighbor. You should say who this person is, how do you know this person, what this person likes to do, and explain why you think this neighbor is interesting. Sebastian, remember, if you are challenged with he and she, give the person a name, then you don't have to worry about the gender.
the gender.
Okay, so as you're typing, I might make some notes. You may begin when you're ready. I don't have a timer. I'm not using a timer at this point.
Okay, no, I'm ready when.
Okay, you may start.
Okay. It's a very interesting question because it's a very nice coincidence in my life because one of my neighbor, he's calling John. John is a very agreeable person, and I spend a lot of time talking about airplanes, and we are very enthusiastic in aircrafts, and we shared some information every day about airplane wise. And I met him in a airport, and he was waiting for his flight, and I realized that he was one of my neighbors, and I walked to him and talked about about the airplane for a little and for a while, and it was very interesting to meet him in this date. Nevertheless, he John likes to listen music very loud, and sometimes I have to call him to ask him to turn down the volume, because sometimes he likes to make a party, to hang out with her friends, and I have to call him, hey, please, could you turn down your volume? But despite of, he's a very nice and very agreeable person, and he's very considerable about the situation, and immediately he turned down the volume. And but I have finally I have a good relationship with him.
Okay, let's stop there. And you were saying regrettable. You use the word regrettable, but you mean agreeable. Okay.
Agreeable.
But you said regrettable. So, and he listened to music loud. He listened to music loud. He listens to his music that
Loudly.
is loud or loudly.
Loudly.
Okay, so
It's an
we got
adverb.
to this point where he's called John. That was great. He's called John. And we are very enthusiastic about aircraft. Okay, we are very enthusiastic about aircraft. We are very enthusiastic. We talked enthusiastically about aircrafts. And remember, the aircraft is going to be with an S. With an S. You didn't just talk about one plane, right? It's so aircrafts. If it's one plane, you might say, we talked enthusiastically about the aircraft 570.
Okay.
But you're talking about just airplanes. I met him or her, because you said you met him, but I think it's a she or he. Either way, you got it wrong. I think you said it wrong, I think. But he, she, was, okay, if he was your neighbor, was is past tense, right? Was is past tense. So he's no longer your neighbor, or is he still your neighbor?
Okay, he's still my neighbor.
Okay, so he is one of my neighbor. Do you just have one neighbor, or do you have lots of neighbors?
Lots of neighbors.
So
One of my
he is
neighbors.
one of my neighbors, okay? And then you said, for a little and a while. I think you wanted to just say for a little while, but you said for a little and a while. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's just for a while. For a while, something was going on.
For a while.
So this is what I think we want to say. I want to describe my neighbor. I met John on an aircraft, maybe, one day, and we talked enthusiastically about the plane. I then realized that he is my neighbor. I live in a wonderful neighborhood, and it is full of interesting people. I don't know. John enjoys listening to loud music, and I remember one day I asked him to turn down his music. Yes, I sing. Although, or let's say, even though he is a phenomenal person, I am not one that I think he's not one I would enjoy hanging out with because of his taste in music. His music, I'm making things up now, you didn't say this. His music is not appropriate for my taste. Nevertheless, we do share one thing in common, which are airplanes. Okay, something like that. But again, it's just a matter of practicing and practicing and practicing. I think I used everything. I've got my phrasal verb, my academic vocabulary, and my transitional phrases. Joy, are you ready to try?
Yes, I'm ready to try.
Okay, what words would you like to use for your phrasal verbs?
Okay, pick up, grow up.
Okay. And your academic vocabulary?
Consistently.
Consistently?
And beautifully.
Pitifully. I'm not, okay, pitifully, okay, good. That's good.
Neither.
And transitional?
Neither.
Neither?
And aside.
Okay. So the prompt is describe an interesting neighbor. You should say who the person is, how you know the person, what this person likes to do, and explain why you think this neighbor is interesting.
Okay. So do I need to start right now? Okay, who this person is. The name of my neighbor is Soledad.
Is your dad? Did you say your
Soledad.
dad?
Soledad.
Okay, Soledad. Okay.
Soledad.
Okay.
The name of my neighbor is Soledad. I know her when we transfer here in our newly both house, and I met her when I picked up some items that the truck have unloaded, and she asked me if I'm the one that she asked me if I'm the one that I'm going to transfer here, and at the time my feeling is wait, I'm hanging. My feeling is I cannot translate it into English.
Okay, go to the next part. Go to how do you know this person or what this person likes to do.
This person, Soledad always wants to cook, especially every Saturday night we have a boodle fight, and it is consistently done for the whole year in every Saturday night, and she beautifully decorated some dishes that she prepared, and the best thing about Soledad is that she is aside from being beautiful, and she is cool, a good example of a neighbor that always willing to help um, willing to help in times of needs. And aside from that, what? Aside from that, she always asks me if I'm okay, and I used to ask also in the same way in return.
Okay, that's good. So you did use your pat. Your pauses were too long. Just remember that. Just keep talking. Even if you repeat yourself, don't let the talking stop, because that's not fluent. You have to say something. You can say, and another thing is also, and I want to mention, you know, this is giving you a few seconds to think of what is it that I want to say when nothing's coming to your head. So I know her when we transferred here. I knew her before, or I'm not really sure which one. Did you know her before you got here, or did you learn of her once you met her for the first time once you arrived here, or did you know her before?
No, I just met her when I arrived here.
Okay. I only came to know her when we transferred. Did you transfer together? Which means that you must have known her. So it would be when I transferred here. Did you come together?
No.
No. So when you transferred here, she may come, I don't know, a day before or a month after, but you didn't come together. So I only came to know her when I arrived, wherever it is that you arrived, okay? And then you said, at the time, my feeling, did you just have one feeling, or was it feelings?
One feeling.
You can't have a feeling. You had, at the time, my feelings were, I know it's one feeling, but it's feelings. At the time, my feelings were, because you probably had two sentences. Oh, she's beautiful, she can cook, she's nice. So you had more than one feeling, one thought, I think. Okay? Always wants to cook. She always, this is kind of hard, but you've got an S there and an S there. You only need one S. She always wanted to cook, or she always cooked. Something like that. She beautifully decorated some dishes she prepared. And aside from being beautiful, are we still talking about the dishes, or are you talking about her now?
The dishes.
You're talking about her?
The dishes.
Okay. Okay, so you're talking about the dishes, because it sounded like you were talking about she was beautiful. But that's, okay. Aside from being beautiful dishes, so that I know you're talking about the dishes, and something, something, something. She's there in times of needs, in times, you see you have an S here.
Okay.
And you have an S here. So you only need one S. So in time of needs, in times of need, you don't need this one. Aside from that, she, blah, 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 blah. Okay, other than that, again, this is just practice. The more you start to do it, you'll start to hear and better understand. Okay? All right,
Okay.
Cecilia, are you ready? Or do you have any more questions,
Yeah.
Joy? Question?
No.
Joy.
No more question.
Okay. All right, Cecilia, what is your phrasal verb?
Okay, so I'm going to use grew up,
Okay.
figure out.
And your academic word?
My academic word is going to be enthusiastically, phenomenal,
And your transitional phrase?
Transitional, it'll be in addition. And nevertheless.
Okay, it's the same question. Describe an interesting neighbor. You should say who this person is, how you know this person, what this person likes to do, and explain why you think this neighbor is interesting. You may begin when you're ready.
She's called Maria.
And I'll be making notes, but you don't have to pay any attention to my notes, okay? Okay.
Okay, no problem. So she's called Maria, and we used to play together several traditional games in our childhood. In addition, we shared the same hobby, that is the music. We used to play enthusiastically the guitar and sing together. We had phenomenal moments composing new melodies. We grew up, and despite Maria is no longer my neighbor, nevertheless, we've always figured out the way to hang out and get together.
Okay, very good. So Cecilia had an advantage over you, Sebastian and Joy. Not so much you, Sebastian, because we practiced, but she didn't rush through what she wanted to say. She had appropriate length and pauses, like she respected the periods. She said that we grew up, and she paused, and she got it in enthusiastically. And after that, she had her pauses in the appropriate places. The only problem that I saw was this one, was you need to have this as a past tense, figured out, okay?
Okay.
And it was because you're not figuring it out right at this moment. You didn't have to figure it out at this moment, but it was something that happened before, that you figured out whatever it was that you figured out, okay? So Cecilia, just start again, and I want to point out the appropriate pauses that you had. I know that you're probably reading as well, which makes it a little bit easier. Okay, Cecilia.
Yeah, I just did it. Yeah, I'm reading because meanwhile you were talking, I was just...
Right. And if they had time to write theirs out, it would come out much more fluently. But you will not have time to write anything out other than PAT and your words during the exam. But I want to point out the pauses that are appropriate. Start again, okay. Cecilia.
She's called Maria.
Okay, stop. Mm-hmm. So she says, my friend is called Maria. Stop. Continue.
We used to play together several traditional games.
Okay, stop. We used to play together. There's a like traditional games. Stop. Okay.
Okay.
Continue.
In our childhood.
Okay, well, we used to play traditional games in our childhood, but she could make those little brief pauses. Even we used to play traditional games in our childhood, or we used to play traditional games in our childhood. It's still appropriate and fluent. Okay, continue.
Okay. In addition.
Okay, so stop there. You see how when she introduces the next transitional phrase, in addition, okay, we're going to talk about something else. In addition, stop, continue.
We shared the same hobby, the music.
Okay, and this one is a little tricky. It could be share or shared. We share or we shared. Either way, it's okay right now because I'm not sure whether you're talking present or past. So it could be we share because this is something that you could be doing now, like right now, present continuous. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking in past actually. So
it would be shared.
We shared the same hobby, the music.
Okay.
We used to play enthusiastically the guitar. And sing together.
Okay. We used to play enthusiastically the guitar. We used to play enthusiastically, pause, the guitar. Or you could say, we used to play enthusiastically the guitar. Either one is okay, but it isn't a very long, it's not like, we used to play enthusiastically the guitar. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I know we used to play something, but what was this thing? And then you're just trying to translate guitar from your native language to guitar in English. And that's what the examiner is listening. Are your pauses too long?
Okay,
Okay.
got it. It'll be also okay to say, I mean, we used to play the guitar enthusiastically and sing together. I think it could sound more natural.
Okay, you could say that. Now, Cecilia, without looking at your paper, tell us about your neighbor. Don't look at your paper.
No, that it's so hard. This is my first class.
That's okay. Well,
But I'm going to say,
no
I
one's
don't
going
need
to
to
get
change the
anything.
story, right? I can
Yeah.
say the same.
You can say the same, or you can change it. I don't.
Just without reading.
Without, but either way, it should be done without reading. Yes.
Okay. Do I need to start it all over? I mean.
Yeah. Start from the beginning.
Okay.
And I'll be listening for your words here.
Okay. So again, she's called Maria, and we used to play traditional games together in our childhood. In addition, we shared the same hobby, that is the music. We used to play the guitar and sing together enthusiastically. We had phenomenal moments together, composing new melodies. Well, now we grew up, and also we are not neighbors anymore. We still figured out the way to get together and keep sharing the same taste by the music. I'm not sure if taste is okay.
Okay, well, you don't want to admit to the examiner whether the word you use is correct or not. Probably,
Of course.
it's probably okay, but we generally think of taste as in food, but we could have the same taste in clothes, the same taste in music. So it's okay. It is okay. And it shows that you know how to use taste. So it's okay. So it was a little bit longer with your pauses, which would mean that you would need to practice. And we still figured out that was okay. We still figured out that was okay. It was okay, but we could practice. All right, let's find something else to do in the remain. Any questions so far?
None.
No question.
Okay,
Questions.
so Joy, do you see the benefit of having this type of lesson to help you with the speaking part of the IELTS exam?
Yes, yes. I get some pointers.
Okay.
Sorry, teacher, but I don't understand this thing is we are speaking about what?
I'm not sure if I understand your question. What's your question, Cecilia?
I don't understand not anything is when you are speaking, but I want understanding because I'm not in firstly with you.
Okay, so what we were doing today, what we just completed doing, both Sebastian and Joy will be preparing for an exam. It's called an English proficiency exam. And in an English proficiency exam, there is a certain score that you must receive dependent upon the requirements of the institution, your company, or if you're trying to go to an English-speaking country. The results of your test varies. So I don't know what the requirements would be. It could be a 6, 6.5, or 7. You can get it up to 9. 9 is not necessary. But if I were being operated on in a hospital and say my wrist was broken, I would not want a doctor who made a C in school to operate on my arm. I would prefer that the doctor had one of the highest scores. But it is not necessary to have a high score to be a doctor. You just need to pass the course. And this particular activity that we did today is an example of a question that could be on the speaking part of the exam. And it would be describing an interesting neighbor, or it could be describe a book you read recently. Okay? It could be any number of things. Do you understand, Cecilia?
No, teacher, I'm Eileen.
Okay.
It's Eileen, Priscilla, just to clarify. It's Eileen's question.
It's whose question?
Teacher, I'm Eileen, and because I'm late for participate at this class.
Oh, who's speaking? Someone else is speaking.
I'm
Oh.
Eileen, teacher.
Oh, let me see who else is in this room. 3. Oh, there's someone else is here. Oh, well, Ellen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Ellen. I didn't see your picture, so I thought you left. You don't have to show your picture, but your name should appear. All right, Ellen. I'm sorry, Ellen. What is your question?
No problem.
What is your question? I'm sorry. What's your question?
Just I want to say I don't understand this subject. But when you explain for me, now I understand it. This like paragraph, you are explaining it before this class with your students.
Yes.
But now this is another examples over this.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And from the first class that we had, this one's different from the one that you attended before. Okay. And Cecilia, the reason I thought this was you because it was a female's voice.
Yeah.
And you were the only one.
Yeah, don't worry, I understand.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going, any other questions? Any other questions? Okay.
No, but what means the abbreviations of the P and A and T?
Okay. So for the students that are going to take the IELTS exam, right? There's a there is a English, I think it's an English proficiency exam named IELTS. Are you familiar with that exam?
Yeah.
Okay. So most students will earn a 5 as a score just for taking the exam. Okay? However, a score of 5 is not enough to pass the exam. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So today, I am providing strategies to get a score of 6. Do you understand?
Yeah, no, I understand it.
A score of 6 is passing. However, you must score higher in the reading, writing, and listening to get an overall score of something. Okay? So the minimum score you can get is a 6, but your score in reading, listening, and writing has to be higher. So with the strategies that I'm teaching you today, with the PAT strategy, you can earn the basic score of 6. Okay? I mean, I feel very confident that if you use the PAT, phrasal verbs, academic vocabulary, and transitional phrases, you will get a score of 6, even if you sound horrible. Well, maybe not too horrible. Okay? Do you understand?
Okay. Yeah, now I understand. Thanks a lot for your explain.
Okay. Now, what we need to do to get you to the 6.5 is what you probably will need is to get your tenses correct. So if it's a past tense, it should be ed. If it's plural, it should be s.
Yes.
The word should end in an s, or it should not end in an s. If it's a child, you should say child. If it's children, you need to say children. So this is just a strategy or a technique to get you to your basic score of 6.5. And with the practice, the more practice you get, when you become fluent, if you listen to Cecilia when she was reading, that is fluency. The fluency is going to take you up a half point, even if you say it wrong. You're still speaking fluently. So let's just see if I say something. I'm going to do this. This is going to be fluent. I'm going to take out some words, but I'm speaking fluently. I'm going to try to speak fluently anyway. Speaking fluently means that there is not a break in my conversation, even if I'm not even making sense. Okay? So I'm going to start here with however, and I'll end with this word and. Okay, so here I'm starting to talk. So I'm going to talk about my neighbor. However, 5 is not passing the exam. I'm strategies to score 6. However, score higher in reading, writing to get. Okay, you see there wasn't any real stopping in my speaking, so it was fluent. It didn't make any sense, but the fluency was there. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that might not have been the best example, but it is a good example. You have an idea of what you're saying. And sometimes when my students might be saying, let me see if I can do it off the top of my head. I want to talk about my neighbor. My neighbor is the man that I told you about the other day. Well, this is the man that is my neighbor, and I live next door to him. Although he's a good neighbor, I live next door to him. And okay, you see, it's fluent, but it's like, what? But the fluency is there. So that's why you want to not have those long pauses in your speaking. Okay? All right, we've got 7 minutes. Let me go to something else that might be interesting. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can open up my private files. File, open. Lesson 17. Okay, so here is something about jobs. Oops. That I'm going to open up. And so we got it smaller. I'll come back and share my screen. So in this dialogue, it's a dialogue between Kevin and Dorothy. And I'm going to do, let's see, Control F. Control F. I'm gonna stop sharing again so I can do it really quickly. Control F. I'm going to change Dorothy to replace it with Cecilia. How do you spell your name? C-E-C-I-L.
C-E-C-I-L-I-A.
Cecilia. Okay. And replace all. Find what? Dorothy. Let's see if I did it. And Control F. Change Kevin to Joy. Okay, replace all. All done. So there. Close. I'm going to share my screen again. And share. Okay, so you'll see in this one, you'll have Cecilia and Joy are talking. So Cecilia and Joy are talking about their jobs. If you don't read this as it is, it needs to make sense, but it needs to sound natural. So Cecilia, you'll start first. You'll say, Joy, do you work a lot of overtime? You may begin.
Okay. Joy, do you work a lot of overtime?
Yes, I do. However, my salary doesn't include overtime.
Have you ever been unemployed?
Yes, one time I was laid off by my job.
Have you ever been fired from a job?
I have never been fired, but I resigned from my job to take another one.
Do you prefer a desk job or one where you are active?
Since I'm a white-collar worker, I usually have desk jobs, but I don't like sitting a lot.
Have you ever been a blue-collar worker?
Before my current job, I was a warehouse worker. I earned an hourly wage. We were always busy, but I didn't like it.
Okay, so there we've got lots of vocabulary. And as you listen to Ellen, can you read for me? Will you be able to read for me?
Read what, teacher?
When I share the screen, your name will be there. If you don't read, then I will read. Okay, Control F. So this time we'll have Joy will be Sebastian. And Cecilia. Control F. Cecilia. Fine. C. Cecilia will be Ellen. Replace all. Okay, so there. And share my screen. Okay, so this time we'll have Ellen and Sebastian are doing the same. Okay? Ellen, will you start?
Okay, teacher. Sebastian, do you work a lot of overtime?
Yes, I do. However, my salary doesn't include overtime.
Have you ever been unemployed?
Yes, one time I was laid off from my job.
Have you ever been fired from a job?
I have never been fired, but I resigned from a job to take another one.
Do you prefer a desk job or one where you are active?
Since I'm a white-collar worker, I usually have this job, but I don't like sitting a lot.
Have you ever been a blue-collar worker?
Before my current job, I was warehouse worker. I earned an hourly wage. We were always busy, but I didn't like it.
Okay, so Sebastian, I'm just going to say, I really could feel that you were reading most of yours. Although everyone was reading, I wanted it to be a little more natural. Before my current job, I was a warehouse worker. I earned an hourly wage. We were always busy, but I didn't like it. You know, that's how you want to come across as being natural. And this is the purpose of having dialogues in this way. Thanks, Ellen. Now that you've heard these words in blue 4 times, you should think about, I'll send you all this copy as well to do as you wish. Now, before we end, I'll just ask each of you one of these questions. Well, first of all, do you know what a blue-collar worker is?
Yes,
What is a blue-collar
Oh, I
worker,
don't.
Joy?
it's
I don't know.
a skilled worker.
Such as?
Like welder,
Okay, good. And what is a white collar worker?
professional job like nurses, doctors.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. And what type of worker are you, Sebastian? Are you a white collar worker or a blue collar worker?
I'm thinking a blue collar worker.
Probably not, but why do you think you might be a blue collar worker?
Sorry, I'm a white collar worker because I usually have desk jobs.
Mhm. And another way to think about it is a blue collar worker works with their hands. It's more manual. Yours is more mental, Sebastian, because you have to think. A blue collar worker is someone who maybe does assembly work. It's the same thing every day. Not quite, but somewhat like that. You don't have to think
Okay.
about, you go in, you go into the mail, the people who deliver mail to my mailbox, they're
Yeah.
blue collar.
He's a white collar or blue collar?
Blue collar. The
He's a
person
blue
that
collar.
delivers the mail to my mailbox is a blue collar.
A blue
worker.
collar. Give me an example, please, for a white collar worker.
A doctor, yourself, because you're using your brain. Your decisions change every day. The
Okay.
mailman only needs to know my address and put the mail in my box.
Okay.
He doesn't have to decide which street to turn on. It's already decided for him that this is where he will be putting the mail. People who work in a bakery would be blue collar, who bake cakes, who bake the same type of cake, or restaurant workers are blue collar workers.
Okay.
And there are pink collared workers. Those are people who work in the hotels, like the ladies who make the beds. It's more like a female type job, although men might make the beds too. But it's just a way to make us a little different, I think. Because I just learned that term recently, a pink collar worker. I was like, what? I never heard of a pink collar worker. But those are usually ladies. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So there we have the purpose of that. Ellen, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any question.
Okay. Let's see. So what we're going to do now, each one of us will take a question, and your goal is to try to use some of the vocabulary that you've learned in the dialogue: overtime, salary, unemployed, laid off, fired, resigned, best
Priscilla,
job. Yes?
I have one question. Could you
Yes.
please explain to me what is laid off? What is the difference with getting fired?
Okay. When someone is laid off, a company may lay people off if it's a seasonal job. For example, here in the US, people pick peaches in the summer. We don't have peaches in the winter, so they are laid off. But when
Cross
the
cutting.
Gross
cutting.
What is the word, Joy?
Gross cutting.
I don't know what that is. I'm not sure if I understand. What is it again?
In terms of cost or like manpower,
Yes.
they're going to lay off it. They're going to less the manpower.
Right, less manpower. And Joy, are you thinking that these people will eventually come back to work, or will they be permanently laid off?
It's not permanent. Maybe they can come back.
Okay. So, and sometimes they just close the facility down. They don't fire the people, but they lay people off and they give them a pension of some sort. So laying people off is not being fired. When you're fired from a position, it's because you didn't do the job to the satisfaction of your employer. But if you're laid off, they may have more employees than they need at this particular time, and they aren't able to pay you. If you resign from your job, this means that you actually quit, and you will not get any money if you resign. Does that, and if you're unemployed, that means you don't have a place to go to and work. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Let's take a look now and answer. So Ellen, we gave you some examples of an answer. Why do some companies lay off their workers? And workers are the same as employees. What are some reasons that employees or workers are laid off? Layoff is the singular of laid off. Ellen,
Yeah, teacher.
why do some companies lay their workers or employees off?
I think the main reason for it's because they are not doing well working.
There is what?
Good working, any well working.
Okay, so the main reason is because there is no jobs
Yeah, job.
available
Yeah,
for the,
yeah,
for
that's
the employee. Okay, good. Okay, Cecilia, what are some reasons that people get fired?
Well, I really think in that case, this is due, they don't have a very good performance, and mainly after an improvement process, they didn't got the, yeah, like the expected performance from the company.
Okay,
Exactly.
so is that pretty much what you want to say?
Yeah, but better.
Okay.
Dr.
Sebastian,
Priscilla read minds.
so why would someone resign from their job, Sebastian?
Resign from because there are no the people really need to work, and it doesn't matter how hard is the work. Maybe the people are not happy doing that job, and but they need to afford everything or pay for everything in their homes, and for this reason they are resigned to do
Okay.
it a task. I don't know, but I get confused with resign for me.
What does this word mean? What does this word resign mean? What does it mean?
For me, I don't know. For if I do the translation directly to my in language, I think is something that you have to do if in spite you don't want to do.
Okay, no. So resign, you're giving the definition as resign equals I have to do this thing even though I don't want to do so.
Yeah, I don't know what is
Okay,
that.
but that's not this one. This resign means equals leaving a position or place that is not favorable. So, and it equals, which is the same as quitting something. To discontinue. So in this case, we're talking about to discontinue. Okay, a person would resign from their job because he may not be happy with the responsibilities. Okay, but you're right, it has two meanings. So in the context, if we had looked at, oh, I erased it already. Okay, so Joy, what are some desk jobs? Joy, what are some desk jobs?
Desk jobs are those jobs that included like lawyer, office staff, bank teller, teachers.
Okay, very good. That is correct. Desk jobs are those jobs such as those held by a lawyer, teacher, or a doctor. All right, well, this takes us to our hour for today's class. It was my pleasure to bring you all this session. I hope that you will join me tomorrow for the last session. And for those of you who are participating in the conversational classes, I do have an ebook for writing that is available. The value of that book is $19.97. And for the participants in these sessions for this month of September, it is $9.97. If you know that you're going to come to tomorrow's class and you have something specific that you'd like me to discuss, I would be happy to do that. Otherwise, I'll just go into my files and come up with something to talk about. Any questions about what we've done today?
No more questions.
No more
No more
questions.
questions.
Yes, I'm interested. I'm very interested to buy your book. Please send out the information, but we don't know how to get it.
Okay, I will do that. So Joy, you just happened to catch me at that very last minute when I was coming to this session. Tomorrow, if you want to join the session, be sure to just find the link and register. Register,
Okay.
and then, because I will try to go into the Facebook group. Oh, what a cute little dog. Cecilia. I will try to go in, but I'll be, when I exit from a teaching class from another session, I don't have much time to change. So Sebastian, I look a little different than I did in your class. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me, guys. It was my pleasure. Sebastian, I will be in touch with you. Bye for now.
For sure.
Thank you,
Bye for
Priscilla.
now.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you, Cecilia. Bye, Ellen.
Nice to meet you too, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.